because I just had had enough of it. I'd had enough of it. And then I took my headphones off and I sat there in silence and I stopped crying and then I just started talking to God. We're given gifts for a reason, to do something with it, to multiply it. It even still feels a little bit unnatural for me to say the name Jesus Christ. It's just such a powerful name. I remember my first biggest influence as a musician was Michael Jackson. I was Michael Jackson obsessed. I was going to quit music, feel this like it's almost a sense of discomfort, but it's going back to my wanting to please people, speaking in a certain way so that people liked me and people accepted me and didn't disagree with me, but I don't care anymore. See, lately I've been trying to find the fire that I used to have, but the harder I try, the quicker it fades. I see the light as it flickers, my minutes ticking away. My boat is sinking, I'm overthinking, but hey, I'm just reaching for my lifeline, searching for my happiness. I'm drinking so much water at the moment, man.
Me too.
I have to, because I had all these digestion issues recently. They were like, you got to keep your fluids up and keep your fibre up. So I'm trying to be more conscious of it. Doctor, hospital. I ended up in the hospital.
You ended up in a hospital?
Yeah. Because I'm lactose intolerant, and over Christmas I was just ignoring it, eating chocolate, pizza, and everything like a dickhead, and then just like accumulatively over time, I ended up in the hospital. I hadn't taken a shit and like we're not going right. It was like 2 or 3 weeks without a shit.
What?
Oh, yeah, bro.
How do you last that long?
I was like, where the fuck is all this food going? My stomach must be just full of food. And then they did these X-ray. I thought it was all backed up, like stuck down there, and they were like, you've just got all fecal matter, they said, scattered throughout your intestines, so you're not digesting properly. And I know that that's because of my lactose intolerance, and I was just ignoring, because I'm not the type that gets diarrhea or throws up. I get all it blocks me up. I can't digest it.
Do you have a particular diet?
I'm trying to just do meat, fruit, and veg now.
Meat, fruit, and veg.
Just M3, yeah. I'm
so
trying,
no carbs, no wheat,
trying to cut out bread, pasta, and rice if I can. But also, I don't think they're the problem. I think I was just eating too much sugar and dairy over Christmas. But I'm not getting enough fibre as well. I didn't realise, especially in my older age, I need to be more like fibre conscious apparently.
Yeah.
So I've been looking up what kind of foods have fibres.
Do you eat any like beef liver or anything like that?
No.
Nah.
Suggest it?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
Like for your B12s,
actually,
like
it's funny you say that because someone suggested to me beef liver tablets. Like beef liver, like what do you call it? Yeah, just like having beef liver tablets. I swear she said beef liver.
And do you know the best place to get that? Ancestral Nutrition. Use code Diogo10. And let's talk about eating the way nature intended, mate. If you're serious about living a healthier, more vibrant life, you need to check out Ancestral Nutrition. It's Australia's go-to destination for premium whole food-based supplements and products. Their philosophy is quite simple. Real nutrition inspired by the wisdom of our ancestors. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, support your gut health, or enhance your overall wellness, Ancestral Nutrition has you covered with products that are clean, effective, and backed by science. And here's the best part. If you're a listener of this podcast, you can get 10% off your order with the promo code Diogo10, DIOGO, the number 10 at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Head over to ancestralnutrition.com.au today. Find the best product for your wellness journey, and don't forget to use the promo code Diogo10 to save 10% at the checkout. Your body and your ancestors will thank you. Let's get back to the episode.
Cool,
Ancestral Nutrition.
Yeah, beef liver tablets. That's what she said.
Yeah, beef liver tablets. There's Ancestral Nutrition. I had James on. He owns the business because I was Paul Saladino, who's a carnivore MD. He was coming on a podcast, and I got interested in all these different diets, and I was like what's, because I had really bad acne. So I went on a carnivore diet. Yeah. This is just before my jiu-jitsu tournament for ADCC, and it was
how long?
I went for 6 months.
Sick.
So people got, and I did it. I don't recommend the way that I did it. Yeah. I just used salt and pepper, and everything else was meat. Nothing but meat. And bro, I felt phenomenal.
Did you really?
Like really good. And so well. So this tournament, it takes it out of you, right? So there's this whole notion that runners load on carbs, and they use that as a fuel source.
So do basketball players.
Yeah. And with carnivore, you're almost at a ketogenic diet,
Right.
Because your body is then eating up all your fats.
Right.
So keto and carnivore is pretty much the
intertwined.
exact same thing.
Okay.
If you go only meat, if you add some fruits in there, which now I recommend, because the one thing that was bad with the diet is that I did get some headaches with it.
Okay.
But during that tournament, felt phenomenal.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Shit.
And then after that, I wanted to know more. I was like, what's going on with these carnivore guys? Like, what's the best, like...
Way to do it.
Yeah, because a kidney, it's poignant. It's just a terrible smell. It's like hard to cook.
So carnivore, you can still eat like cheese and eggs because they derive from an animal? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Cheese.
You weren't doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was doing that. And yogurt as well.
Right.
But I wasn't doing any fruits or anything else. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I came across Paul, and then I reached out to him. Our timetable just didn't align at the time, so we'll probably still have him on this year. But and then I got into his company that was doing all these tablets, and I was like, oh,
I've seen it pop up. That
you can
ancestral, yeah.
You can get this like as a tablet form. I was like, oh, say less, let me do that. And then I found the Australian one, and it was Ancestral Nutrition. And then I spoke to the guy, James, and he sources his beef directly from Tasmania, grass-fed, really good. Yeah. And he just seems like a good guy. So, yeah, do recommend Ancestral Nutrition.
I'll do that.
They're really good. Now, you got an album coming out.
I do.
And
finally.
How long's it been?
My last one, The Elephant Gifts, was, it's like 3 or 4 years. It was like towards the start of when I first met my wife, which was about 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, it's been a while. And I got this terrible habit of, this will be my last album because the long form, we know long form of everything is a little bit redundant these days, isn't it? So like albums are becoming shorter and shorter, songs are becoming shorter and shorter. So I think I'm just going to stick to EPs in future, like 6, maybe 8 tracks max. And because I can just churn through them a lot quicker. And I try to, with the albums, capture chapters or phases or periods in my life. Yeah. And lately, especially now I've got kids and full-time job, and it feels like there's not enough time in the day. So I want to like shorten, because otherwise it drags out over, like I said, 3 or 4 years. And then what I do is, like, by the time I get to the end of it, there's a couple songs on there that are irrelevant to how I'm living or what I even feel anymore. Like my opinions and my views are kind of constantly changing because I'm finding new information, and it's kind of encouraging new opinions out of me. So that sometimes by the time I get to the end of the album, I'm like, I don't really agree with the stuff I'm saying on these 2 songs anymore, or it's not in alignment with where I am at in life anymore, or it doesn't suit the rest of the album anymore. So they come off, then I write another couple, and it's like this ongoing cycle of removing songs and adding songs, and the album just never gets finished. So EPs from now on after this one for sure. Wouldn't that leave things fragmented? Like, I know what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, because there'll be some songs in the album that to the listener, it's brand new, it's sick. Yeah. But to you listen back and you're like, actually that mentality that I had right then, it was a frame in time and I've shifted from that. Yeah. But down the line, wouldn't that leave everything fragmented if it's just singles and EPs? You know what I mean? I get what you're saying, and someone else has said that to me as well, that like, who cares if you don't feel that anymore? You did at the time. And that is what it is. But the other thing is I just want to stay more active. Like, I'm getting older now, bro. I'm 37, I'm 38 this year. I don't have 3 or 4 years to waste putting an album together. I'd rather release an EP a year and just keep the content coming. Because like I said, you got to stay relevant these days. Everyone's attention span is so short that if you take 3 or 4 years between drinks, like maybe this is like a unwarranted and not a justified fear of mine, a rational fear of mine that you're going to get forgotten. Oh no, I'm going to get forgotten because there's such like an oversaturation of content these days. It's like you got to stay in their face. Like if you got people punch drunk, you got to keep punching them. You can't let them regain consciousness and forget you kind of thing. for lack of a better analogy. But you could be right. You could be right. And look, I might say, I've got to be careful saying, this is my last album, even though it's a pretty good promotional tactic. Because, I might do this EP a year thing and go, I miss doing a bigger body of work, and I might end up coming back to it. So we'll see, I guess. But for the time being, my intention is to make this my last longer length album and just try and keep the project shorter at the moment. But there's a part of me that agrees with what you're saying, but I don't have the fear that what I'm going to do is wrong, because if I'm wrong, I'll just, take back what I'm saying, recall what I'm saying, and just go back to making albums. But my intention going forward is to do short form.
Is it just the method is wrong? Like, because 5 years is a long time. Like, I don't know what's the length of it would take to yeah. Like, I know the old method. I feel like the old method is like with these greats, it's that it was this artistic view of crafting this album. Like it was a stone piece, and they'd take like years, and it was marketed that way. Like when it was the machine marketing, it's like this, he's put everything into the heart and soul of the album. This has taken him a lifetime to complete, and that's out. But this day and age, I feel like people like, the process can be quicker. I don't know if that was recording with analogs and all of that. Like these days, it's even recording itself has become quicker. So
absolutely.
Is it maybe just the method of like, don't wait 5 years because we want to hear your album?
There's probably a happy medium, like between how long I have been taking and then me going, I want to pump out like an EP or two a year. That might be too much and it might be oversaturating. I might start rushing the music and the creative process, which you don't want to do. So there's probably a happy medium, maybe even once every, if I was going to go back to albums, I'd aim to do once every 2 years. But then again, like I was saying, it's like I don't have the time anymore. And then that drags out, and I get, it is a little bit attributed to my own laziness, to be honest with you. Whenever I say there's not enough time in the day, I could make time if I really wanted to. But I just seem to be dragging out the process at the moment. And there's always, we were talking about this before, there's always more, when you see an album come out, there's more to it than just the physical copy of the album coming out, the tangible, like you've got to, in the background, you're organising artwork, you're organising the promo run, like the video clips. There's just so much other stuff that comes into it. Collaborate, like when you collaborate with other artists, musicians are pretty, what's the word? They're on their own time. Everybody's quite kind of like free flowing, like, oh yeah, my own time. There's no like, let's get it done, you know what I mean? So there's all these other complications surrounding an album that when it comes out, the buyer just grabs it and usually doesn't understand how much has actually gone into it and like what it looks like behind the curtain for us. So I just don't want to drag out the process anymore. But there's an element of me that thinks you're right.
Who was the most painful person to work with on this album? Are you tired of endless search for the perfect loan? Let me introduce you to loanoptions.ai, the smarter, faster, and easier way to find the loan that fits you best. Loanoptions.ai takes the hassle out of loan shopping by doing all the hard work for you. Their cutting-edge AI compares hundreds of lenders in seconds, so you don't have to. Whether you're looking for a car loan, a personal loan, a business financing loan, loanoptions.ai helps you save time, stress, and money. Find the loan that works for you at loanoptions.ai today, because when it comes to borrowing, smarter is always better.
This one's actually been pretty good. If I like,
is that true? Is that true, bro? Just blast some people. It's all right.
In the past, collabs have been hard, especially if I'm trying to collab with people over East, because there's that problem with connection. But I've got Manazil on this album, and he was the easiest. Like to try and stay positive about it. I was like, hey man, I'd love to get you on this track. He goes, yep, send it through to me. I sent it through to him. I think he sent it back the next day. Like he'd written and recorded it. So I was just that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what you want for sure. Probably Cortex. I'll call him out. Probably Cortex. He's a guy that's kind of on his own time. He's not the best with communication, and like I don't know, who's right in that sense? Is it me that's always on my phone and it feels like I have to get back to people right now? And or is it someone that's like him? There's, like I said to you, he goes with the flow. He'll get back to me when he's ready. But I sent him the track, same track with Manners. I sent him the track, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, and he just left me on scene, didn't respond. and then I did.
Good friend.
I said something about the album. Oh, I did a post the other day saying, Happy New Year, album's pretty much finished. Can't wait to you guys hear it or something like that. And then he hits me up. He's like, oh man, did you send me that track? I was like, yep, like about 6 weeks ago, bro. And then he's like, oh, sorry, bro. I said, oh, I'm wrapping it up now, man. So he's like, yeah, I'll get it to you. But once he gets in there, like if he gets in the studio and goes, I'm going to do this, he goes, you know what I'm like, I'll work quick, I'll get it to you. So now that I've put the pressures on, he'll get it done. But yeah, sometimes doing the collabs, because my last album, The Elephant Gifts, didn't have any rap features. I always like every album, I'm like, with this one, I was like, I'm going to do all my own hooks. Nobody's singing my hooks. With the last one, it was like, I'm not going to have any rap features on this. So I always try to have like some weird little, I guess, idiosyncrasy or something different about this album than to different albums, or like a new challenge, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Something I wanted to ask you, right?
Far away.
A rapper's ethical.
I guess that's like saying a human's ethical. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they rap. I think it has, some people are ethical and some people aren't in the sense that that's like saying a plumber's ethical. I'm sure that some aren't and some are. It's not the fact that they're a plumber that defines what their ethics are. It's the fact that they're a human being. But with that said, I feel like sometimes
I think there's a difference there though, because plumbers are there to just fix your plumbing, and they go and do their job. Where rappers, when I ask about rappers and ethics,
what do you like? Yeah, expand on that.
Yeah, so rappers and ethics. Do rappers think at all about morality of the listener?
I think a lot of the time, and it is found quite often in hip hop, or I have found it anyway from an observer's perspective, is that a lot of rappers will just get in the booth and say what they think the demographic of hip hop want them to say. So they'll say, it's very people pleasing. It's like, oh, what do people want me to say? Well, what's popping at the moment? I'm going to do that because it's safe. And they're not actually in tune with what their actual beliefs are, or their, like you said, what is their actual ethic, their code of ethics, their personal code of ethics. And are they ballsy enough to get behind that and push that as, this is me and this is who I am, this is my beliefs, and either take it or don't take it, because everybody's so caught up in being successful that it's like, what do the masses want? So this new album, I was saying yesterday, and I was saying to my wife, I was like, are people going to want to, and my engineer Shaker, are people going to want to hear what a 38-year-old guy who's got a family settling down? I don't really go out anymore. My life is very simple and, for lack of a better term, boring. So it's like.
But are you rapping? Like, are you rapping about that? And are you rapping to allow your listeners to learn the moral nature that you've developed and grown into in your life, or is the songs on the new album has things that you say that you think are cool in a hip hop sphere?
Not anymore. If anything, I go out of my way to make sure I don't. As I've gotten older, authenticity is the most important aspect of what I do. If I'm not being authentic, what's the use? So historically, my least favorite song that I've ever done, and don't laugh, Brad, is, you would have heard it too, Party in Perth. Because I remember that when I sat down to write that, I was like, what's going to get me onto the radio? So that means my intention is already off. That's not why artists should be making music. Your intention should be to its expression. It's, like I said before, capturing a time frame in your life that's going to, like, that you can look back on later and go, oh, I remember where I was at. I remember when I felt like that or thought like that. So I have to be authentic now. And now I know that my kids are going to grow up and maybe find and listen to my music one day. I don't want to be subscribing to this same, what I think is like quite a toxic world. And I do feel like the devil has his fingerprints all over like Hollywood and the music industry or the entertainment industry in general. And I don't want to be a part of that. My favorite artists aren't a part of that, like the J. Coles of the world. I like that he's kind of, it feels like he's separate to what everybody else is doing. And I like that. And I want that for myself. And that's how I want to be looked at as well. So
I think people need that. I think that's why I ask, because Brad got me to make a song the other day. I don't know if the listeners will ever hear that song. However,
they'll hear it. They should.
However, I've gone into a massive transformative journey, and even in my content, I was did a lot of news content, and I thought that too. I thought, when my son grows up, and he looks back at my content, what's he going to see? So then I've delved into this entire. My goal this year is to do a whole philosophy saga, and I started with rationalism, how that versus against empiricism, how that is the backbone of Western society. I Think Therefore I Am by Rene Descartes, how that was one of the first philosophies, and that it shows and explains God from a logical, reason
perspective.
Yeah. And so I was just thinking, even in that song that Brad got me to record, even in that, at the last line of it, a lot of the words, it was similar to how I'm sort of feeling. There's things about sort of the Matrix being alive, not being alive, right? I'm not a rapper, I'm not a lyricist, but this is my emotion in the song. Mm-hmm. And even I touched on the Bible and things that I can relate with. But the last line,
but will they really make it worth it if we give them our minds, oh Lord? NIV, trying to find a soul in this MP3. I'm searching for it all, but it's say la vie. So she mixed the alcohol with this pill in me and I'm gone.
She gives me a drink to mix with the pill in me. And I'm like, I said that line and it was a good line and it came off right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why the fuck did I just do that? That's
why?
Exactly.
Yeah,
why did I write that? Why did I say it? Why did I put it out into the universe?
Right.
If I don't have some chick mixing some drink and I don't have a pill in me that she's that I'm drinking and mixing that drink with. I've got a partner and a kid, and I love them very much.
I see what you're saying.
So why did I even say that? And that got me to the question, where are it's not are rappers ethical? It's ethical in a sense of are they drawing on their morality? Because I listen to a lot of rap these days, and these people aren't even doing half the shit that they're talking about, and they're not even one, they're not living it, and two, the fantasies might not even be there. They're just literally saying it, and in that moment, and I'm listening back, and I don't know why I did that.
I think there's naturally hip hop intrinsically is trying to be cool. Even historically, all rappers have been cool, quote unquote cool, because hip hop is seen as one of the cooler genres. Do you know what I mean? They're just smooth, and I guess if you're not the smooth kind of rapper, you're the aggressive kind of rapper. And rappers have been doing this to us for ages. So we're all influenced by what rappers do to us. And so I think hip hop has a fundamental trying to sound cool nature to it. And even back in the day, a lot of the rappers that were rapping gangster weren't actually gangsters. When I first started rapping, I was rapping trying to be something I wasn't either. So what I'm saying now about being authentic, that wasn't always my emphasis and focus. It was on just saying the coolest shit and making it sound as I guess witty and as clever as possible. And what I was actually saying came last. The authenticity came last. As long as what I was saying sounded cool and it rhymed and it had a cool rhyme scheme and stuff like that, then whatever. It sounds pleasing. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
How weird is that you're like
Yeah.
full reversed it now? You know what I mean? Like authenticity is first now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I think that's kind of come
as
naturally.
you grew up. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it came naturally with age. It wasn't I can't think of a specific time that it was like an epiphany where it was like, oh my God, I'm doing that. I'm going to stop doing that. It's been this like natural progression in who I am. And I think that's what age does to you. Like we are constantly evolving. I would like to think that I'm constantly evolving on a spiritual level before anything else. But yeah, I think it's just the evolution of myself as an artist. And I think some artists get kind of bogged down in doing what they're doing, or their fan base and their audience like them for that. So then they're scared to change and step out of that. They're like, I'm going to lose all these people. And that's what Shaker said to me as well. He's like, don't start trying to appeal to 18-year-olds because you've got people that have, I wasn't the type of artist where one thing kind of went really well overnight and all these people came and, you know what I mean? It wasn't an overnight thing. It's been a gradual thing over time where I've accumulated people that have kind of come along with me for the journey. I haven't got a massive fan base. I've got a significant fan base and they're extremely loyal to me because they've been with me through that journey. Yeah. And as I'm growing and speaking on my stuff, they're growing in age too and their taste is changing as I'm changing. So they're evolving with me. And I think there's much more impact and significance in that. Well, for me anyway, it's more nourishing for me as an artist to know that than to have all this overnight success. If I had one song that went boom and then spend the rest of my career trying to chase that same feeling and just doing whatever I can to try and get that again, that's not really who I want to be. So I'm glad it's worked out the way it has.
Yeah, the little Nas X type of thing. Correct. Where you get that big boom and then next thing you're going down a hill and fucking twerking on the devil.
Because that's what the labels will tell you to do. We need another Old Town Road. We need another Old Town Road. We need another number one here. What are we going to do? You need to give. They start putting the pressure on the artist. Get me another hit single. Yeah. Do something like this. Do something like that. And then they kind of wrap the machine around them like, like you said, all this other stuff. We need to get bad publicity even if it's like, do this, even if it's against your will and against your character and what you spiritually believe, because that's going to get eyes on us. And what do they say? No such thing as bad publicity, which I agree with, but I'm not going to. That's what selling your soul is. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of, at the end of the day and at the end of my life, I have to look back and be proud of what I've done while I'm here and of this fleshy world. Before I leave here and go to be with our guy upstairs, I need to be able to look back and go, I never sold my soul. I stayed true to who I was. A success came of it or it didn't. I don't really care. As long as that's the main priority for me, is to be true to myself.
Bro, you said no to Illuminati and Rain Man?
If they can, I would take them down. No. I would like to think, and I don't know. I guess you're never 100% sure, are you? That I would Dave Chappelle it. That if somebody came along, if someone came along and offered me $1 million, say they did that, right? Say because of my newfound faith and how rooted in it I am becoming day by day. That if someone came to me and said, you can play at the arias, someone's going to dance as the devil and you got to do this stuff with the devil and we're going to give you $1 million. I would like to think that I would not do that. Actually, I know that I would not do that. And so that's where I get my satisfaction as an artist from, is knowing that my soul cannot be bought. It cannot be bought. It's not for sale. It might have been at one point in my life when I didn't know any better, but I know better now. So why would I be ignorant enough to my own learnings to then go and do something like that? I would never forgive myself. And that money is just, again, it's of this flesh. It's of this world. It's of this this world. And I know that there's something bigger going on there. And that's what I want to tap into. I want to get away from the fleshy world as much as I can, if anything.
Who inspires you now? Like, who inspired you as artists, like when you sort of started, and who inspires you all these years later and keeps you your fuel going and your want to create music?
I remember my first biggest influence as a musician was Michael Jackson. I was Michael Jackson obsessed when I was
Do you reckon
a kid.
he's a pedo or no?
No.
He's not, eh?
No.
Fuck.
Absolutely not.
God.
No.
Oath.
Absolutely not. And I've got enough knowledge around that whole situation to go back and forth with anybody. I love it when people bring that up, because I'm like, do you want to actually have a conversation where I can open your eyes up to what really went on, or what Look, I'm not 100% sure, but if I'm to go with my intuition based off the things that I know, I would say no, absolutely not.
Isn't there some like massive scandal because of like the label or something?
He owned a lot of masters. He owned a lot of the music industry's masters. He had a lot of influence within the music industry, which then bled out into other areas. So.
Yeah, because he was, to my understanding, he was about to own the Beatles.
He did own the Beatles.
Yeah, for Sony, and then it pushed him over 50% ownership of Sony, and then they took him out because of that.
Yeah, and even in his death and the whole way that he died, it was very smelly. The whole thing about the kids and the way that it happened. Look, should he have been doing what he was doing? No, but I do believe that it was in pure innocence. My intuition tells me that he would not do that, and it's not right to do what he was doing. And you can't be surprised when it comes out and people have a problem with it. You're going to look guilty. You need to make better decisions than that. But I think he was just. They say that with trauma, that you get mentally and emotionally frozen at a certain age from when the trauma happens to you. And I don't think Michael ever grew up because he never got a proper childhood. He was an absolute megastar from the time he was 7 years old. So he never got a childhood. So he liked being around children. They made him feel young again. He lived his childhood out when he was an adult. And like I said, you still have to have the mental capacity and the understanding, like the social and self-awareness to go, I can't be having these kids in my house like this. But number one, people forget that for a long time there was no accusations. He had a falling out with his family, the first family. He had a falling out with them. Then they came out and said this stuff. And when you're an artist of that magnitude and people are saying this stuff, of course you're going to throw money at it to go away, because especially pedophilia charges, even if you get acquitted and you prove it all wrong, that kind of stigma and that kind of, not stigma, but that kind of funk sticks to you forever. Isn't that guy that, what if? Do you know what I mean? So I think he just paid to shut these people up. And once word got out that he did that, all these other families, millions of dollars, these people would be set for life after that. All these other families, wait a minute, my kid went to Neverland Ranch. I'm going to do the same. And so there's kids that have come out since then, now they're adults, saying he never laid a finger on me. His best friend in the world was Macaulay Culkin. Never touched Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, really?
And what does Dave Chappelle say?
He's got some classics.
He's like, if I was going to fuck a kid, Macaulay Culkin's going to be it. So it's fucked up. But I don't believe that he did that. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, definitely Michael Jackson first.
Yep.
Then it transitioned to hip hop, and I would say Tupac was my biggest influence.
He was a ballerina, right?
Tupac?
Yeah.
He was a very gentle, soft guy when he was young. A lot of people don't know that.
I swear he did ballet.
He did do some ballerina, and a lot of acting as well, like in acting school. With Jada Pinkett, eh?
I think Tupac's the epitome of a guy that the label and the industry went,
changed him.
Be this way, and he fucking went that way. Well, apparently, and he was fantastic at it. Don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal artist. But to go from a ballerina speaking soft and doing little acting classes to then being one of the biggest gangsters in history, I don't think that's a natural progression in that short of amount of time.
Apparently Oakland and Baltimore changed him. So he was that certain way when he was youngish, like a teenager, and then he moved to Oakland and Baltimore, and it was pretty ghetto there and pretty hectic. So, and apparently that changed him, but who knows? It could be right. He could have been a product of the machine. But I just found him to be really authentic. I loved that he was had a rough side and a tough side that we're talking about, but he also had that gentle side that would give you Dear Mama or Changes or Life Goes On and stuff like that. But then he would, it's well, you're a bitch, you fat mother, you know. And so I kind of liked the contrast of Tupac. I loved Tupac, and I liked what he was like outside of music as well. He's quite an activist and things of that nature. But Nas was a big influence on me. I was never a Jay-Z guy or a Biggie guy. And then it moved on to Eminem. These days it would be J. Cole.
J. Cole.
For all similar reasons. I think that he's as authentic as they come, and I don't lump him in with. I've got a real issue with the idea of celebrity these days. I don't feel the closer I get to God, the further I get from the entertainment industry and the idea of celebrity. The fact that we worship these people like they're not ordinary people that go through all the same things as us, I think is unrealistic, and it's makes ordinary people like us feel that like we're not like them and we're not as good as them and we're insignificant or inadequate. And I don't think it's good to worship and idolize people, the people that are just like us, people of this flesh. So the inspiration for me these days is Jesus Christ. If your name is not Jesus Christ, I'm not worshiping you.
How'd you get there?
It's a bit of a long story, but it started in March. I was in Bali with my family and we were sitting down at breakfast and I was surrounded by beauty, my children, my wife, the nature around me. I was in Bali, like I was having a good time. Out here was all good. But in here, there was still this feeling of emptiness, this feeling of nihilism, this feeling of just like, what is this all for? Why do I still not feel nourishment? Why do I still not feel fulfillment and satisfaction? Like what is still missing inside of me? And I'd been watching a reel where it was young Sheldon talking about the idea that God exists, and it would be borderline insanity to say that he doesn't because of the order of the universe and how the absolute perfection of the universe. And it just a lot clicked in for me. He's like, you know, if there was 1% less gravity, the universe would break apart. If there was 1% more gravity, the universe would cave in on itself. And it just like this made me think. Young Sheldon is from a show called The Big Bang Theory, like Sheldon, you know what I mean? And I've never been able to subscribe to that. We are a creation. Everywhere I look, I see creation. There has to be a creator. If someone put a plate of food on this table and it was this beautiful meal and I said, oh, who made that? And they said, no one. It just appeared there. I wouldn't believe that because it's unbelievable. It's not true. It's impossible. I don't think you can make something, especially something so perfect, out of nothing. So, and he was basically saying that in this video. And then behind it was that Hillsong and Taya song that, what's it called? Oceans.
Yep.
And I was like, what is this song? It's following me everywhere. I just keep hearing it. I found it and it was her on stage and she's praising the Lord and there was a massive crowd of people praising the Lord with her and she's singing this beautiful song. I went for a walk. I just kept listening to this song. I'm crying, walking through Bali by myself, headphones on, like a weirdo. And I went and sat on a beach and I was like, I'm not leaving this beach until I feel better. That's it. I'm not like, I'm sick. I was just battling depression, but everything was all good. Everything was all good in my outside world and I still felt it. I was just, couldn't escape it. It just followed me to Bali, followed me everywhere. And then I was just like, I'm going to sit on this beach and I'm not going to leave this beach until I feel better. And I listened to that song over and over again and I'm just weeping, crying like I never cried before. And I wasn't even sure why because I just had enough of it. I'd had enough of it. And then I took my headphones off and I sat there in silence and I stopped crying and then I just started talking to God. Naturally, I just had no one else to turn to. And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this alone. Take this off me. Take the wheel. I'm done. Like I surrender to you 100%. And then I started weeping again. I grabbed my headphones. I put the headphones back on, listening to this song again. I'm walking down the beach and everything felt like it was moving in slow motion. Everything felt really, really different. I don't even know how to explain it. It was like a mushroom trip or an acid trip or something. I obviously hadn't had any of them things. And I just felt really connected to everything. I was looking at people and seeing other people outside of me as not separate from me, as just like, they're just like me. That we're all, if you just trace back as far as you possibly can, we're all brothers and sisters at some point. And we just lose track of that because we're conditioned by this fleshy world. And I felt different than I've ever felt in my 37 years of life. You know, watching two dogs chase each other around, just like having the time of their lives on the beach. I was like, even something as simple, something like dogs experience a level of joy that's accessible to us as well. Like all these things just started clicking in and I felt this weight lifted off me and I just felt different. I don't know how else to explain it. I went back to the hotel, hugged my wife, hugged my children. And it's kind of just been a slow progression ever since then. I actually went to the Quran first, which is funny.
You went to the Quran first?
I picked up the Quran, yeah.
Is that because you were in Indonesia and they have one of the most Muslim populations in the world?
No, to be honest with you, it's because I'd been like, a friend of mine was a Muslim, so I just asked him for the Quran. I knew that he'd have one, so he gave it to me. And I was about 10 pages deep. And I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. Well, not for me anyway. And I was like, this is nothing, this isn't working. And I went to the Bible and then I'm like nearly finished the New Testament. So I went straight to the New Testament. I skipped past the Old because I just wanted to, I knew I believed in God. I believe in God. To me, that's undeniable. But I just wanted to learn more about Jesus Christ.
During your days as of hedonism.
Mm-hmm.
Did you believe in God then when you were, going to all these parties and the music industry and what you're listening to, and it sort of gets you to reject God? Because I did at one stage.
Naturally.
I'd say I was quite atheistic, especially the more that I was left-leaning in my politics.
Yeah, so was I, man.
Did you still believe in God then?
I believed in God when I was younger. My mum's a Christian, my nana's a Christian, was a Christian, God rest her soul. But she was always trying to push the Bible onto us grandkids. And I was a teenager, I wasn't listening, I was having fun doing hedonistic stuff, like you said. And I just believed in God, but there was no attachment to the accountability side of it. It was like, I just believe in God and that's enough. But I had none of the, I guess, foundational understanding of what that actually looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of raised a Christian. I used to go to a Christian church so that I could skate for free. I don't know if you remember, it was called God Park or Cherokee. And I used to go there and I was like, I did get a good feeling in there. Like these Christian churches are lit, man. People like the singing and it's not boring. And I was like, wow, there was this energy in the room that I loved. It was palpable and all my friends didn't really connect with it, but I just like secretly did. I was like, this is doing something for me. I remember going back to my nana and she gave me a Bible. I didn't read it, but so it's always, the curiosity's always been there. I've always been like quite a spiritually inclined and curious guy as it pertains to spirituality anyway. Mm-hmm. So it was always kind of there under the surface and he was always there. He was always there just waiting for me. And I just believe that God's timing is perfect and it happened when it needed to. Do I wish it happened earlier? Yeah, I could have avoided a lot of mistakes, but maybe they needed to happen. That's my story. And I don't wish that I could go back and change it. So
there's an interesting bit there because usually people when they're broken, when they're down, when they're, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to turn, they turn to God. Where you did the complete opposite. You were in a moment where you had everything was in front of you.
Yeah.
You were in a perfect place and then you turn to God. And which is it's striking and it doesn't really happen. What is the exploration there? Why do you think that's when your soul turned rather than, when you were different in your life?
I just felt empty. I'm not going to complicate it. It's as simple as that. I just felt empty. I just felt nihilistic. I felt like worshipping myself and always looking out for my own preference and chasing material things in life and trying to acquire as many things to potentially make me happy in my using external coordinates to try and dictate my own internal happiness or nourishment again. None of it was working. Like I always thought when I was younger, once I was experiencing, I don't know, that they say that I've got, now that I've been going to a psychologist, that I've got complex trauma from things that happened when I was young. And I just thought when I'm older and I've got my own family, I'll be happy. You know what I mean? And I was sitting in Bali and I'm like, I've got a beautiful wife. I've got 2 healthy, beautiful kids. I make good money. My music career's gone better than I thought it would have. Like I said, I'm in Bali, I'm on holiday and I still have this empty feeling. I was like, how can this just get me wherever I go? Even no matter how perfect and great things are out here, it's not satisfying me. And then so I just felt purposeless and nihilistic. And then now that I believe I'm here for a reason and I do have a purpose now and I have to see that out. Like put it this way, something as simple as this. In the Bible, there's a parable. I'm not in a place yet where I'm just quoting.
Yeah,
like, when people go, John chapter, I'm not there yet. But there is a parable in the Bible and it's in the Gospels. It's across 2 of them where he talks about bags of gold and he's saying that he gives 3 people bags of gold. He gives him 1, him 5 and him 10 or whatever. And then he goes and comes back. This is a master because it's a parable. Comes back and this guy's turned his 10 into 20. This guy's turned his 5 into 15. This guy with his 1 bag of gold was scared that he was going to lose it because he only had the 1 bag. So he buried it. And then he came back and he goes, oh, good, I'll get you your bag of gold. Came back and gave it to him. Was like, what did you do with it? He's like, I just buried it because I was scared that I was going to lose it. And he condemned him for that. And I remember thinking, I don't get it. That's mean. Like he was scared to let you down. Why are you being mean to this guy? And then it's saying, I looked it up, ChatGPT, like, what is this parable trying to say? And it's saying that we're given gifts for a reason to do something with it, to multiply it. And it's not monetary. It's like to build on what we already have. We're not just giving gifts to nothing. So I was going to quit music because I was like, it's not really going anywhere. It's not. And that parable showed me that I'm given this God-given gift for a reason, and I have to use that for good. I have to use that to convey a message and to hopefully have a positive impact on people's lives. So he's given me this talent. This talent is this bag of gold. And I was about to bury it because I was like, I felt like I was failing. And, I'm like, why am I not famous yet? Why am I not rich off this yet? Why am I not? But now that none of that matters to me. None of that matters to me because I don't want to be famous and rich off it. I just want to have a positive impact on people. And there's a lot of people that listen to me and get a lot from my music. And who am I to go bury my bag of gold out of my own selfish needs and desires?
100%. The Bible, you got to read it allegorically, not literally like the Quran. And I agree with that sentiment. Something I envy about you, it sounds like you had a sensory experience. Your senses were heightened during that moment. You could see more colors. It was more vivid. You could experience God.
Yes.
I haven't had that. I am searching for that. I'm not searching for that. I just haven't had that. And the way that I've come to Christianity is via, as I mentioned, Rene Descartes says, and I couldn't get the exact sentence out before of his concept. It's a deductive reasoning concept. That's the way that he got to God, because he believes that your sensories can be misleading.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
And he said that I'm going to give up all these senses and I'm going to try and find God via a knowledge base.
Wow.
And he said he came from a way of not only proving God to himself, but proving God to non-believers. He's like, we can't go to non-believers and say, look, I've been lifted and this is it, because then they just mentally, they reject it and shut it down. So he's like, I want to present something logically that they can resonate with. And in doing so, I can prove to myself that God exists. So his quote, I think, therefore I am, is actually a mistranslation of his quote. His actual quote is, I'm thinking, therefore I am. And in the act of thinking proves a being creation of God. And he has this in framework that is developed. And this is the way that I've come to God. And beyond going to him and other philosophers of the same vein, I went around a little bit close to Islam and some of their philosophers.
Yeah.
And they also have a similar deductive reasoning concept that they use it's called a theory of contingency. It's a contingency theory of something needs something for that something to exist. Like this phone needs its parts and that part needs its parts. And if you continuously go there, you can't actually prove infinity. So infinity in itself doesn't exist. It has to have a point of start. And then that point of start is something that is eternal.
Yeah.
And I've gotten there through a logical understanding, and I haven't reached that stage of the feeling connection to God. And however, I also believe that Christianity is the only religion, and the way that why I say that is because if all these other religions believe in a ultimate being, which Christianity also does, the difference with Christianity is that for God to come down, become man, it creates a bridge for relationship. And that's the key to everything. If Muslims, Hindus, Jews, whatever, Buddhas are talking about connecting with God and trying to meditate, from even their theological and philosophical understanding, the thing that they're trying to connect to is a force that they couldn't possibly touch.
No.
So it null and voids every single other religion. So this is God coming down to earth, becoming a man, and that man you can relate to and you have that relationship, and that's the connection and relationship to God.
Yes.
But I've come through all of this via deductive reasoning and logic.
Yeah, which is interesting, and I like that because for me, it's always been a spiritual thing, and I try not to apply too much logic to it because I didn't think that that's where you could I don't think you could find it using logic, because I just feel like it's such an out of this world concept, and almost like we're designed for our brains to not be able to comprehend something of that capacity and of that nature, and that's where faith comes into it. That's why it's like we're given free will, and people are like, all right, well, if God exists, why didn't he all just make us believers? And it's like, all right, well, using that same logic, if someone was to come to me and go, here's a genie in a lamp and you've got one wish. And I was like, cool, I wish all women in the world absolutely frothed me and loved me and wanted me. After a while, it would be like, well, this isn't real. This isn't authentic. And they don't love me and want me because they love me and want me. They love me and want me because I've made them. So what is the use of it? It's redundant. It's not, it doesn't mean anything to me. I know that they're doing that because I've made them. So I just felt like I always say to people, because he's given us free will, because he wants us to choose to give him our heart. He wants us to choose to give him our time and to invest into him and to build on our faith and build a relationship with him. Because if we're all forced to do it, what's the use of it? It makes everything absolutely irrelevant and useless. So I think that I like that there's a logical side to it. I like that because sometimes I feel like I want to defend it, but then sometimes I'm of the belief that I'm like, I don't care. I shouldn't care, and I don't care what other people think about it. I do want to convey God's message, but it's only because out of intention of I know what it's doing for me and it's helping me, and could it potentially help other people? But also, do I have to have I just have trust in God that he'll reach people when and if he needs to. And I guess maybe I wrestle with the idea of pushing it on people. I wrestle with the idea of and it's potentially still the people pleaser in me that doesn't want people to shut down when I don't like when I watch evangelists sometimes, I'm like, there's something that just doesn't sit right with me when it comes to that, but then they think that they're doing the right thing and it's intention. So, but my intention right here, right now is to keep building my own foundation, keep lapping up a wealth of knowledge as it pertains to God's word, and just keep talking to him as much as I can. I'm praying multiple times a day, whenever I can, in the car, in my house, in the backyard, wherever I am. I try to pray if I've got a moment of silence that I can take and just touch base. And the prayer side of things is becoming a lot more natural to me. At first it felt forced. It even still feels a little bit unnatural for me to say the name Jesus Christ. It's just such a powerful name. It's just it either fills people with love and excitement and joy. I've had people go, wait, you believe in Jesus Christ? You follow Jesus Christ? And it's great. And we have this awesome, conversation after that. I pulled up into the car park of the gym the other day, just blasting worship and praise. WAP, a different kind of WAP. And then this lady gets out and goes, love the worship, brother. And I was like, amen. Praise the Lord, sis. And it just felt really nice. It put me in the best mood for the rest of my gym workout. But then there's some people that hear me going down this path, and for some reason it makes them angry. And I'm like, what is it about that name that is so powerful that people either love it and live their whole lives in accordance with the teachings of Jesus Christ and what he did for us? And then there's some people that shut down and hate it. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't believe it, some people just don't believe he ever existed, even though there's all more historical evidence that one person existed than anybody throughout history, more writing and more manuscripts to prove his existence than anybody throughout history. Yet people absolutely deny the fact that he existed. And then it's like, how could you do that? No, anyway, circling back, deny that he existed, know that he existed but don't believe. And then there's people that know he existed, believe that he was a prophet, believe that what he was teaching was real, but he was not an extension of God. There's people that don't believe in the Immaculate Conception. Like there's all these, he's just such a perplexing figure, and he just has, his name in itself has so much power. And there's something that might have been part of the catalyst as to what brought me over, because there was something really, really interesting, intriguing about that. I'm like, what is it about that name? Like I said, even when I say it now, I feel this like it's almost a sense of discomfort, but it's going back to my wanting to please people, speaking in a certain way so that people liked me and people accepted me and didn't disagree with me. But I don't care anymore. I don't care what other people think of me. There's 4 people that I care what they think of me. That's my wife, my 2 children, and JC, Jesus Christ. If your name is not one of them 4 people, I don't care what you think of me. I don't care, but I still feel this like resistance inside me because I'm going against what I've built up for so many years. It's new to me, so it's not coming naturally. But the more I say it, the more natural it feels and the less I care.
Brad.
Yeah.
Would you say you're atheist?
Yeah, don't talk to him. He's an atheist.
Would you say you're an atheist?
Nah, I don't know. I wouldn't.
Agnostic probably.
Yeah, more so that. Just because, like, I believe there is something. I just don't want to pinpoint exactly what it is just yet.
Okay, and why don't you want to pinpoint? Is that because of fear of commitment?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's fear of commitment. I think it's
I think some people are probably scared to invest in something they don't know anything about. So if Brad doesn't know enough about it in order to formulate the opinion on it, and some people are scared to read the Bible because they know it can shatter their whole preconceived, like what they've thought their whole lives, and it has. It's shattered all of these assumptions that I made about the Bible. I thought the Old Testament was Jesus' story, and then they just rewrote it and called it the New Testament. So straight off the bat, I was like, no, I'm not subscribing to that. That sounds fishy. Now I realize that the Old Testament is all pre-Jesus and prophesizing that this figure is going to come and be our savior and save us all. Then he came and no one believed him. So all the people that believed this Old Testament, it's saying in there so many times, he's coming. This is what it's going to look like. And then he came and it wasn't what they expected. They expected this political figure that was going to help them, beat the Romans and give them freedom in that sense. But he wasn't talking about political freedom. He was talking about spiritual freedom. And the Jews and the Pharisees just didn't want to subscribe to that. And so they condemned him for it. And eventually they put him up there on that cross. So I get people's scrutiny around it, like people like Brad, because it is quite an unbelievable story, isn't it? Like if you're of this fleshy world and of the world's obviously stepped further and further away from God and religion over the last 2,000 years. We're a very secular society these days. When you start to talk about these things that are, I guess the idea of it is beyond the 5 gateways of senses, like that it seems so out of this world, our brain can't comprehend it, that I get the skepticism behind it. It's like, well, that's such an unbelievable story. That couldn't have happened. But that's where the transcending this fleshy physical world into a world of spirituality, it starts to make sense there, and you can start to believe that it's true. The humility to say that I'm going to drop this arrogance that says what my senses are prescribing to me, there has to be more than that. And there is more than that. We know there is. There's sound we can't hear. There's light we can't see. So is it not fair to say that we are extremely limited in our understanding of the bigger picture and what's going on here? And it is fair to say that we are extremely limited. So I'm just trying to think beyond the limitations of my own mind. I'm trying to connect my heart to my mind, that 18 inches between them. I'm trying to connect that. And the more I am doing that, the more I do feel that it's purifying my mind and I'm seeing things in a different light. And that doubt, it's there with me some days. I'm not going to lie. I'm not like so strong in my faith that I never doubt. I have these thoughts and these moments where I'm like, am I on the right path? Is this really real? Is this a cult? Am I being persuaded? But there's a feeling that I get when I read the scriptures. So there's something there. There's something there in these words. It's not just words on paper. It has this effect on me. It's like this spiritual book that transcends flesh. And then same thing when I'm in prayer, same thing when I'm in church. I can't deny these feelings that I'm feeling more and more full with the Holy Spirit with every day. And I don't know. I historically, I've been scared to say that kind of, like I said, this started in March and I kind of kept all my cards to my chest, but I'm not going to hide who I am and how I feel anymore just because of somebody else's comfort or lack of comfort because of what I'm saying.
And you shouldn't. And do you have a particular sect that you're prescribed to?
The church I go to is a Pentecostal church.
Yep.
It's called Kingdom City. It's in the city. It's in Central City. But there's Kingdom City churches all over Perth and all over the world. It's like a international church.
What was your feelings when you saw Pentecostals speak in tongues?
I haven't yet.
But you've seen others speak in tongues.
Not in person. I've never seen anybody speak in tongues.
You've never seen anybody speak in tongues?
I've heard someone speak in tongues. An old friend of mine, her parents were devout Christians. I'm not sure what sect they were, but they I remember rocking up to her house once and they were in prayer in their room, and their room was like at the front of the house, and I could hear through the window them speaking in tongues, and it's pretty mind-blowing. And at the time I was atheist, or I wasn't a believer, so it was a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But I've never heard sounds like that come out of a human being before.
Yeah, and it's something that because I've been to Pentecostal churches, I've been to Catholic churches, Orthodox churches, never an Anglican church, but it's in Acts, right? In the book of Acts, where people from different nations come and they see people praying and they understand what they're saying.
In their own language, yes.
In their own language, what they are saying.
Yeah.
And and that's sort of where it's derived from. And I wrestle with that, possibly why I push over to Catholicism and Orthodoxy more. Because if you have that amount of people whispering and they're doing the act of praying, if you're coming in from whatever nation that you're coming in, you see what the act is, and you would know what generally they're doing. So if you're praying, generally you're giving thanks or you're asking for forgiveness. When they're coming in and they're looking at that, that's what they'll think that the prayer is.
About, yes.
Yeah. So then I don't quite get how that has developed into speaking in tongues and the Pentecostal faith.
Well, they say that they are overcome with the Holy Spirit, that it's one of God's gifts. So I don't know much about it. I don't know enough about it to be able to defend it, to be honest with you, or to be able to even give more context. I don't know enough about speaking in tongues. I know that I definitely can't speak in tongues, and that's my only experience with somebody speaking in tongues is what happened at that house. So, but it's funny that the Book of Acts was one of the more recent books that I read in there. Yeah, and I love it. Love that.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I reckon anyone that's starting even to read the Bible, they should go first to the Book of Acts.
And I remember when I was, I guess, atheistic or agnostic, and I read something or heard something somewhere that said God's understanding of it is not, see, we of this fleshy world and of logic, we want to be, because this is how I guess it happens in normal life. It's like, show me and I'll believe. Whereas God says, believe and I'll show you. And I know what that means now. Like he hasn't, I guess what happened on the beach was like a spiritual experience and it was amazing. And I wish it just lasted forever. It didn't. It like disintegrated over time, but it was definitely something that came upon me that I can't deny. And then also how I feel ever since and what it's doing for me ever since. I don't feel that emptiness feeling anymore. I feel like it maybe not has cured my depression, maybe, but it's curing it. It's definitely curing my depression. It's helping me with, I used to think as well, if I prayed for peace or I prayed for patience or I prayed for tolerance, that he would just give it to me, make me more patient. But he gives it to me in ways that are like providing me with opportunities that I'm able to cultivate more patience. I'm able to grow in myself and who I am. And now I just like, my perspective has changed to, okay, that's what life isn't happening to me anymore. It's happening for me. That's the perspective shift I've had. and it's been extremely helpful. It's benefiting all areas of my life. I've seen a lot of people, their testimonies are the second they accepted God into their heart, it completely changed them in an instant. That hasn't really happened for me, but I'm changing day by day. And the closer I step to God, the better I feel and the better I act. And it's going to have a positive impact on everybody around me. Why would I then shirk it off or walk away from it?
And
What was that?
and
Is that my phone?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Where did that come from?
It's like playing from my voice recorder.
Hell random.
it was like, don't change the subject.
Yeah. Is it still doing it?
Yeah.
Yo, what is going on here?
It's like, give me some promo.
Bro, what the... And do you know what the lyrics it was saying? What's it going to take for me to make you feel love?
That's true.
What?
Man, I keep these weird things keep happening to me like that. And I'm like, am I just stretching here? But I was in the car the other day and I was having a bit of a rough time and I was crying and I'm driving and I'm going, just give me a sign. Just give me. It was one of them days where I just wasn't feeling strong in my faith, and I'm like, just give me a sign. Just give me something. And I'm crying and nothing was really happening. And then this car pulls in front of me, and like kind of cut me off. And the number plate says Faith. It said Faith A. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, it's just weird things like that keep happening to me now. And it could be the old thing of if you're seeking, you will find. Like if I'm looking for signs, of course you're going to see them. But some of them are just so weird that Albert Einstein said, you either believe that nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And I know which one of them I'd rather subscribe to. Believing everything is a miracle makes life amazing. Believing nothing is a miracle is just like everything is by chance and by no design. Like there is no order of design. There is just like, we're just here. We're these fleshy puppets. It means nothing. Once you're dead, it's just blackness or there's just nothingness. And I don't like that. I don't like the sound of that at all.
Yeah, but but that wasn't just something that you look and find. That was just like
It was weird.
It just came out of nowhere.
I didn't even have that app open. I haven't listened to that song in a long time.
What was the line again? What was the line?
What's it going to take for me to make you feel loved?
Bro, Brad, that is saying directly to you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Bro, God is speaking.
God is talking to
and
you.
You better listen.
That's his way to get through to me.
That was crazy.
So I wanna do a couple of fun things just before we cap off here. One is I do want to get your thoughts on all this alien stuff that's going on, but second, we got a new segment that we do, some game show where we'll ask 5 things, and since you like music, we thought what we'll do is give you 5 lyrics and you got to tell us what artist
Damn.
it
Okay,
is.
cool.
He'll be good at this though.
All right. God, show me the way because the devil's trying to break me down.
Fuck, I know that.
Diogo.
Nah.
Oh, Kanye West.
God, show me the way because the devil's trying to break me down.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Is it just first
devil's
answer,
trying to
or
break
are
me
we gonna
down.
go like 2-3 shots?
I'm an idiot. I rushed at that.
Yeah, you rushed. Take your time, bro.
Yeah.
Let's say that again, bro.
So-
I reckon
No, don't give me that.
Do we?
I don't deserve that. Give me half a point.
we'll give him 0.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
and
So just it's got to be first answer.
gotta be
Is
first.
is
First
the one?
answer.
All right.
From now on, I'll
He
take
got
my time.
it right, but yeah, second. But that was the first guy. So.
All right. So this
we'll
one,
give him half.
this one's really it's a hard one, but it's an easy one.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Well, wait. So it's medium.
Yeah.
All right. So when the devil wants to dance with you, you better say never, because a dance with the devil might last forever.
Immortal Technique.
So when the devil wants to dance with you, you better say never because a dance with the devil might last you forever.
Yes.
So
Let's go.
I told you he's got this.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
How many got? 5 questions?
Yeah. 5. That was 2. All right.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2 from 2, sort of.
Yeah, 1 for 1.
But he knew it.
He did know
I
it.
was just rushing to
He
it.
knew it.
I was rushed to the buzzer.
All right. Oh, this is too easy. Maybe not. I see no changes. All I see is racist faces.
There we go.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Came from the gutter and I'm still here. I see no changes. All I see is racist faces. Misplaced hate makes disgrace to racists.
It might be a bit hard.
Yeah.
I'm out for presidents to represent me. Say what?
Jay-Z.
Nah, starts with a J though.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
You're both wrong.
Oh, Nas.
I keep falling, but never falling 6 feet deep. I'm out for presidents to represent me. Say what? I'm out.
Yes.
Damn, I rushed to it again.
Oh,
No,
Actually,
because
I know why.
do you know why? Because Jay-Z sampled the line in one of his songs.
does.
I'm addressing all drama. Talk to me.
That's
Oh,
right,
really?
that's what I was
I'm out for
thinking.
dead presidents to represent me.
And that's why I said J. Cole.
That's what started the whole beef between them. I'm out for dead presidents to. You made it a hot line. I made it a hot song.
Yeah.
True.
And Cole's got those remixes as well. That's why I said J. Cole.
Yeah. I
But
rushed to it again.
Threw us both off.
Should have sat with that one.
All right.
What are we, 3, 4? We got one more.
Yeah.
I'm 2.5 for 4.
Here it is. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil. I ain't been rhyming like common sense.
That's Jay-Z.
Yeah. Nice.
Damn,
That was good.
I'm
That
mad
was
at
good.
I would have been 5 for 5 if I took my time. Always take your time, people.
Yeah, you had it. You had it at the back of your mind.
Always take your time, Aaron. What are you doing, mate?
That's all right. We've only done one of those so far, so you're top of the list anyway.
Yeah, you did well. You did well.
Two.
Two.
Whose is this? I am the way, the truth, and the light, and all that go through to the Father must go through me.
The Lord himself, Jesus Christ. Are all these rappers pedos?
It's funny you say that because when the Biggie thing came up, there's this big. Someone showed me recently. There's this Biggie video from back in the day. I can't remember the song. It might have even been Juicy. It was one of his bigger songs, and there's a full tranny in it. He's hooking up with her and he's full hitting on her and stuff, bro. Yeah, and she's quite young as well. And then he's got lines like something, fuck your kids in the ass, throw them over the bridge.
Know my nigga gotta fucking kidnap kids. Fuck them in they ass, throw them over the bridge. That's how it is. My shit is laid out.
And now you think about he was in real close with Diddy. I was like, why are you fucking anyone's kids?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And why has everybody just accepted this line? Like, he's got quite a few now that it's like, oh, he was in such close cahoots with Diddy. Was he doing that stuff back then when Biggie was around? Was Biggie a part of it? What are these like lines that he's gotten scattered through his stuff that are a little bit suspect? But
just lines that go over your head, eh?
Yeah. It sucks because there's celebrities on that list that I liked growing up, and there's celebrities on there that I always knew something was sus about them. I just think that there's a general mistrust among all celebrities, and this whole thing has happened for a reason and has brought it to the forefront. It's showing us stop worshipping these people. Stop worshipping these people. They're carrying out the devil's work for the most part. They worship money. They worship fame. They worship themselves. It's that industry and Hollywood in general is, I think, the absolute epitome of evil, where evil takes place, but in a really insidious and not so obvious way. It's like, and they masquerade as people of ethics and people of morality, and they're always telling us what we should think and what we should believe and stuff. But I don't think any of these people live by what they say. I think they're all, you can see it in people. It's like they're dead inside. They're so far from reality and they're so far from God that they're just, that they've just become this vehicle of comfort for the devil to move through and act out evil in this world. And the election run kind of turned me off a lot of celebrities, and just like seeing people like Cardi B, everyone's like, oh, how do you know they're reading from a script? How do you know they've been paid and stuff? Just watch the Cardi B one, because the teleprompter goes off and she panics and doesn't know what to say. So if you're up there to advocate for and endorse somebody, speak from the heart.
Yeah.
You should know exactly why you're telling these people to vote for this person.
Yep.
The other thing is they're also out of touch with reality, that none of them realized that America is experiencing a struggling economy, which is why a lot of people jumped ship and went to Trump because they were like, I know what it was like the 4 years under him. And I know what it's been like the 4 years under these guys. And my life has been vastly more difficult under these guys. I want to be able to afford my groceries and my gas and this, that, and the other again. And I don't want to be competing with illegal immigrants. And that's not racist to say illegal immigrants. They're breaking the law. That's what people forget. So people jumped ship and went to Trump. But guess what? It doesn't affect these celebrities. The economy doesn't affect these celebrities. These celebrities live in massive mansions in Beverly Hills, so illegal immigrants don't affect these celebrities. So who are they to tell average working class people who to vote for when they don't even believe what they're saying? Eminem reading off a script, looking down the whole time. And you can tell, like, use that intuition, use that gut feeling that you get when you're watching these people that says, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
I was disappointed in that Eminem thing, man.
So was I.
Holy shit.
I put a post up yesterday, like a reel from the other podcast I did saying, you know, they took a snippet of what I was saying, that I was really disappointed in Eminem too, and it broke my heart. And I'm obviously a hip hop artist, and people are like blindly loyal to Eminem because he's Eminem and because of his abilities. But just because somebody's really good at something doesn't mean they of perfect morality or they're perfect.
Eminem's a piece of shit human, no? Like, let's be honest. He's always been a piece of shit human. He's just trash.
He's flawed. And this is the thing about worshipping celebrities. You forget that they're flawed. You forget that they're human beings just like us. They make mistakes. They prioritize money over morality. And that's what a lot of them guys did in that election run. And that's not to say celebrities didn't come out and support Trump either, but you watch them ones, and then you watch
Puerto
other ones.
Rico is garbage.
Oh yeah, Tony Hinchcliffe, yeah. But like, say Kid Rock got up there, no script to read, and they're just speaking from the heart. So I just try to use my intuition and my judgment to say something feels off about this or something doesn't feel off about that. And I got turned off a lot of celebrities there, and so there was this Andrew Tate thing where he said, when everything happened with him, they threatened him and they said, if you say this or come out and do A, B, and C, we'll give you $50 million. And they can't, because they can't threaten to take his opportunities away from him because he's a businessman that became a celebrity. All these other celebrities, their businesses being successful and running and their opportunities coming in are dependent on Hollywood and the elites in Hollywood that run everything. So it's not that they get paid. I'm not 100% sure they get paid. I'm not even 100% sure of what I'm about to say.
Beyonce definitely got paid. She got paid $10 billion.
Million.
Billion. Imagine that. Jeez.
To speak for 2 minutes.
Well, fiat currency is a mess. Anyway.
Even her. It was so half-assed. That endorsement was like, you don't believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know you don't. Well, I think you don't. But I think what happens is they get threatened to take their opportunities away from them. You won't be able to make money in this industry anymore, and we'll smear you. Whether we smear you with lies or we smear you with the truth, you'll be done. You'll be cancelled. You'll be out of Hollywood. And I think people like Eminem, people like Beyonce even, people like Cardi B, I don't know, a whole bunch of them came out. Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, all these people are they're part of the machine, the Hollywood machine, and they're toxic and evil. And like I said, they're being used as a vehicle of comfort for the devil to be able to do his work.
I agree. I think Kanye did well. He's the only one that didn't disappoint. Like, Kanye is Kanye. You know what I mean? Like,
unapologetically.
Yeah, like you open the Kanye box and you get what you opened. But like, you open the Eminem box and you're like,
what am I working with here?
It's like this guy's like, he's talked shit about his mum for like years, and then it turns out that the documentary came out and his life was not even what he was talking about.
Wow.
His daughter, Hailey, he like neglected her for ages. She's now got a podcast, and his new album is like trying to apologize to her. So you're neglecting your mother, you're neglecting your kids. You're like, that's just a bad human.
Celebrity, the whole idea of celebrity and everything got a hold of him. And it sounds like he wasn't the greatest guy before that, to be honest with you, which sucks because, like I said to you before, that authenticity piece is the most important thing to me these days. And now I don't feel like Eminem's authentic. It's tough to listen to him. Like, even when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, everybody's problem was the slap. the part that didn't sit well with me and that I hated the most was he comes out shortly after, gets his stupid little award, puts on the waterworks and his little crocodile tears, and then he gets a standing ovation. He just assaulted a guy on stage in front of you all. And then you're going to, like, that's when I knew the Hollywood is evil and none of these people are who they say and what they pretend to be. And don't forget, they're all entertainers, so they're actors and they're full of shit. You see Ricky Gervais, when he was doing his stuff at the Oscars, just like ripping him apart. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Just hitting him with truth bombs and just reminding them, you're pieces of shit. You're not this you're not this high level of morality. You like, don't be telling all of us what to think and how to feel. Get up here, get your award and piss off.
Now, do you reckon some of them are like lizard aliens or what?
Nah, I don't go that deep.
Brad,
I don't go that deep.
hit us.
What?
Brad does?
You with some lizard shit?
No. What I'm saying, so it was a shit transition, but I was trying to cut to the aliens. What do you reckon is going on with these unidentified objects in everywhere? Really?
I don't think Aaron knows much about it.
I was just about to say.
I think I've told him the most about it.
I haven't looked
than
into it
anything.
enough to
Do you
be able
believe
to formulate an opinion.
Do you
on it.
believe that these things come from outer space?
No,
Neither do I.
I think it's the government.
You think it's the
I
government?
do think it's the government because if it wasn't the government, I would like to think and I would hope to think, I thought they're here to protect us, the government. Why aren't they shooting these fucking effing things out of the sky?
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's the government. And I said yesterday that I think whenever there's something else going on over here that they don't want us to see or know about or pay attention to, they'll put something over here to distract us. And it just stinks of that, to be honest with you. It reeks of it.
I think Project Bluebeam, this document's been out for years that the government would create a fake alien invasion to then come in and
one world government.
make a one world government, which I think it's becoming sort of harder and harder. As,
To unite
unite
all the different governments.
get everyone scared, and then they have one common enemy. So then they can align. That's what the Project Bluebeam says.
I haven't looked into that either.
This warned
Well,
us
that was
years ago.
That Warner Van Braun guy, hey? That's where that whole topic came from him.
What?
Warner Van Braun, he's the guy that runs NASA. I know you know who that is.
Yeah, I definitely know. He's a Nazi scientist, actually.
Yeah.
He moved to, he was actually one of the...
Project Paperclip, they brought him over.
Yes.
As one of the top scientists, Nazi scientists. But he's where they get that Project Bluebeam theory from, is because his receptionist or person that used to, manager or whatever that used to work with him, used to always say that he always used to go on about this thing that was like a fake alien invasion or something, and that's what he has been leading up to do. And he always used to say the last card is the fake alien invasion, and remember Carol or name was.
And so if that's true, and if that's true, and what I always harken back. This Jordan Peterson said something once that really resonated with me, and I was like, that makes sense, because I love psychology, and from a psychological perspective, people in power, if you want to influence people and you want to push the boundaries to get them to a place of control, you can talk about in relationships between husband and wife doing this, or you can apply it to the government doing this to the people. You push the boundaries, people have enough, they revolt, so you stop. And then you're here. That becomes the new norm. People get used to that. You push. People revolt. You stop. And you just keep pushing until you get where you have total control on what you want. And so wouldn't COVID be quite the appetizer and precursor to whatever they're going to do next? If that's what they're doing, they're trying to unify all governments to have one total government to control us. Wouldn't that be I thought it was going to be, I thought the next step to lock us down and get control of us was they were going to use climate change. But if this fake, quote unquote, alien invasion is it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Nothing surprises me anymore, man. I keep my mind open to everything, and people can say that makes me gullible, but if we're gullible, it's the gullible conspiracy theorists that are actually looking out for the rest of humanity. It's like people that aren't conspiracy theorists shouldn't do all the tinfoil comments and everything about the people that are. You should just go, cool, they're out there, they've got their eyes on things and they're looking at, like, they're going to pick up on stuff for us. So
that's a good point as well, because even that drone thing that's happening at the moment, like that could be, you know, like a test to see how like a bigger version of the public or whatever will react to it, right? You know, and so like Aaron just said, like they could be just pushing it, seeing how everyone reacts, and then if everyone's cool with it, it might just become the norm now, right? You just see all these fucking drones in the air, and then they push a little further.
I don't believe them. I don't believe anything that I look at everything through a lens of skepticism as it pertains to the government and now celebrities as well. Yeah, I just feel like when you're dealing with human beings, so when you're elevated to a point of just like insane status within society, what comes with that is ego and feeling look at how boldly Diddy was doing all the shit that he was doing, and what does that
say for
imply to me? That he thought he was invincible. He thought he could do it. After a while of being told you're the best, you get away with little thing, and these things that you're getting away with get bigger and bigger and bigger. You just start thinking, I can get away with anything. I've got all the money in the world. I've got all the power and all the influence. Who's going to stop me doing whatever I want to? There's this like air of arrogance about the stuff that they do. Like, I'm invincible. Nothing can ever touch me or take me down. Then boom, he's done. So...
yeah, and I feel that I've had that personally happen to me during COVID, where I saw that what the government and what the authorities can do, because they try to put me away for 38 years.
I saw that. We shared that yesterday. That was hilarious. Sorry, I shouldn't.
Trying to lock me up for 38 years. Oh, that's classic.
Nah, not hilarious, but just how ridiculous it was. Yeah. I laugh emojied and I was like, I hope he's not thinking I'm laughing at his
I thought
potential imprisonment.
Yeah, I thought it was the most gangster clip. Like,
thanks for the promo.
Yeah. But I saw like what they can do, because for me, having a podcast, I'm in New South Wales without a criminal record, and I'm literally speaking to people. And for them to use a fake warrant, they went to the building manager to get the keys. That's illegal in itself. Wow. They come in with Raptor Squad and Counterterrorism Squad. And Raptor Squad usually has some police thing. They were all black. All black. Balaclava's coming in with M16. Yeah, wearing all black.
A whole bunch of black guys coming in.
Yeah. No, it was a clan situation.
Wow.
They were all white.
Wow.
And then they came in with M16s, put misses on the floor.
What?
Like two agents. Like, this is real Matrix shit. Like 2 agents. And the house was like surrounded by a bunch of normal officer police. And this is to get a podcaster and his pregnant missus.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Like, just that, I know that like the system is
something's going on.
Seriously wrong. Like there is, and then
an abuse of authority. Yeah,
to trump up all these charges, and luckily, like I still have faith in the court system, because they did a lot of charges and all of them fell apart, and none of them stuck. But then there needs to be repercussions then for
their actions.
And there's none.
Yeah, of course not.
And that's the most fucked up thing of it all, because that means that they can do first, even though it's illegal. And they know that there's no repercussions.
There's comfort. Where does that comfort come from? And that comfort comes from, what do you call it? Entitlement. We can do what we want. What are you going to do? We're the body that holds people accountable. So who's going to hold us accountable?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop us? We'll do whatever we want. And that's why people need to realize there needs to be a limit to power. They work for us.
Yeah.
People forget that. The government work for us.
Yep.
It's insane that people think they have to, every knee shall bow and every knee shall bend and every head shall bow to government. They're not your God. They're not. It's this invented concept and idea that we've all subscribed to, and slowly over time they've gone crazy with power, And it's getting to a pinnacle now and a focal point where people are waking up. That COVID thing that they pulled, it might have been the stupidest thing they ever did. And then because they've done things throughout history to kind of incite fear so that they can control and they can make decisions and people won't revolt. But they're pushing it too far. Like I said, the Jordan Peterson thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like 9/11, this, that, COVID. Like
I think COVID woke a lot of people up as well. So
the one thing,
you know what I mean? Like now there's more people like that they've got to go against, right? I guess. Or,
well, the other thing is during COVID, they locked people in their house with boredom. You idiots.
Yeah.
You idiots. Now when people are bored, what are they going to do? And then we're all connected through the internet now as well. So like the government must hate the internet. I wonder if one day they'll just ban the internet and take it away from us.
One thing that I wish Jordan Peterson said in that quote of his is that he said it gets there and then he says like it revolts and it sort of stops there, or it does maybe a little step back. But if you push it further enough, the revolt also becomes bigger. So then like these laws might be in place, but if the revolt gets big enough, the whole thing could crumble. And it's quite like it's on wooden legs at the minute.
It's funny you say that. So my question to you is, do you think like if they just keep pushing it and they keep having this air of arrogance about them that they can just get away with anything, will they do something eventually? And it might be this new thing that they're trying or potentially doing, whatever. But would they get to a certain point where they just think we can get away with anything? They do something that's so stupid and so blindly obvious that they stuff up what it looks like and it falls apart and then it wakes everybody up? Because there's still a lot of people out there that will argue with you about, they can call us conspiracy theorists about 9/11 or about JFK or about COVID or whatever. Like, and cognitive dissonance is this new thing that I'm like studying and trying to become aware of because like I said, psychology really fascinates me. So what is it about people that refuse to accept something that is so obviously laid out in front of them? And it's fear. They're scared to admit that the people in charge are corrupt. They're scared to admit that they're like, I don't want to take control of my own life. That scares me. I surrender, not to God, but I surrender to government. You guys take it. I trust that you guys are going to take care of us. And then if that crumbles, their identification with that crumbles, and the idea of government being looking out for your best interest, if that crumbles, they can't accept it. They don't feel safe anymore. So they refuse to accept any information to the contrary that the government are looking out for you. And so is there anything that they could do where the whole of humanity or all of the people go, nah, enough is enough, we don't trust you guys anymore? Or is there certain people out there in the world that no matter what they do, they're just going to believe the government because of cognitive dissonance?
I think it's pockets. I think it's not going to be a world awakening. I think it's going to be a situation where...
Gradual thing.
Because I've been looking at different political frameworks. I've been looking at, like, for example, if as you said before, the fear between government and people. If the government's scared of the people, that's democracy. If the people are scared of the government, that's tyranny. And is democracy even correct? Was Greece right when they created democracy, or were the Romans right when they created the republic which built America? That a small amount of government and a leader, and if that leader's for the people, that country and those people can be led somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I think people have different ideologies, so I don't think it will ever get to a stage where there's a international world awakening. I think it'll get to a stage where pockets can be returned, almost like the during the Crusaders. The Crusaders, there's this almost like when you say Jesus Christ. The Crusaders have a similar thing. If you say the Crusaders, even to some Christians, they're like, we need to reject that because that was a terrible colonization time in history. But it wasn't. What that was a defense. The Solomon Empire was taken over so much land and they've been warned multiple times, and it got so egregious that it was the last straw to say, we need a defense. And in Christianity, that's the core belief. It's like, it's not that you should go out and attack. But if you need to kill in a defensive purpose, that is okay in the faith. Mm-hmm. And Jesus says, sell your clothes and pick up a sword. That is in the Bible. And I think people will get to a point where the revolt is going to be massive, but it's where that is pushed international and when it's going to happen. But the point of the government moving forward and creating laws, and I think they try and trickle the laws in from a small, gradual standpoint, and they try at different pockets of the world.
Testing the waters.
Yeah. Australia, we're going to ban 16-year-olds from accessing social media. We're going to try and push misinformation bills in. What are you guys doing over here? And, you know, these things are sporadically happening. But I do think it gets to a point where a certain country will revolt massively, and we've seen that time and time again throughout history, where these massive revolts come in, they get so big and then they get killed off. So Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, you know, even Hitler, he changed the economy of Germany, and he was moving across Austria and these other lands, and then they get taken out, and then it's like, what person comes? And I think everyone's waiting for that pure person. These people were evil, so it's like,
and a lot of people think that's Trump.
A lot of people think that's Trump, but I don't think that's Trump, because
I hope it is. Obviously, we need it more than ever, and so I hope it is. But who knows? You just never know, do you?
I just want Trump to just
he seems to be.
If he's going to build a Solomon's temple, just fucking build it.
Yeah.
And then when the Jewish Messiah doesn't come, because the Jewish Messiah has already came, that can end a lot of conflict. Period. Because it'll prove that they're waiting for something that has already been fulfilled. All the bloodshed that they're doing is to build that temple and to gain the promised land. But all of this has already been fulfilled, period, in their own religion. And I think they're hoping Trump will be the person that rebuilds that temple.
I hope so.
With him, I think he's hilarious. I do think he comes from a kind heart. I don't think he's like...
He's a man of faith. And he's not scared to speak the name of Jesus Christ. He's done it multiple times on the biggest platform. Do you know what I mean? So I just hope that he's solid and honestly rooted in his faith, and that he's not a false prophet, and that he does have the right intentions. I also don't think it's easy to step into that position and just start to affect change immediately. I think he's pretty brutal. He's not even president yet, and he's been coming out with all these videos and these promises of the action that he's going to take. Like, he's pretty savage and forthcoming in what his plan is and what his intention is. So I just hope that he delivers on it all. And if he doesn't, then I'll be the person to throw my hands up and say I was wrong about him. But I personally am holding hope in the fact that he is enough to but there's some people that, again, that cognitive dissonance are so against him that they'll never be like, any little thing that he does that they can grasp onto to use against, you know, anyone that hopes and believes that he's going to really change things. Because if things change in America, it kind of spills out into the rest of the world. And so a lot of people I know are like, why do you even care? It's American politics. I'm like, it does have an impact here, you know? Like that misinformation bill might, even if it did get approved and the public didn't push back on it as hard as we did, like, does he have the power to be able to stop Australia enforcing something like that? Like, he can pull certain strings do you know what I mean? And he seems to be for freedom of speech. He seems to be against, you know, I guess, what would you call it? Destructive ideologies. And I just get the impression that his heart's in the right place, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll throw my hands up and say, damn, I was wrong about that guy. It's like I do about Eminem. I was wrong about that guy. Jay-Z, I was wrong about that guy. You know, I've been wrong plenty of times before, and I'm not scared to be wrong.
Well, I think Trump's actions, you know, he doesn't drink. He seems pretty...
Look at his children. You can always judge a man by the way he is by his children. Look at Joe Biden's children.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, a couple have passed away. That sounds not very nice of me, inconsiderate of me. But you look at the one that's left, Hunter Biden, and then you look at Trump's children. They're all upstanding, intelligent. They haven't drank or smoked either. Like, you can usually judge a man by his fruit. You will know him by his fruit. And then so you look at his children and he's cultivated some pretty amazing human beings based off his values and his ethics.
Yeah.
So I just hope that transpires into society, at least in America, because he is the leader of the free world going forward. And I just hope that his next 4 years, and I like JD Vance as well. I get a really
I've
good
grown
feeling
to
about
like him
JD
a lot.
Vance. Yeah. So, and he's a man of faith as well. So let's just hope that, and Trump said straight away, one of the things we're doing is Bible's back in schools. Bible's back in schools. We're going to look into all these surgeries that have taken place on minors before they're 18, mutilating their private parts. And we're going to, and the people that have done that and prioritized money and getting rich over the health of young people, they're going to be held accountable. And again, he might not deliver on all these things. That's yet to be seen. I just hope he does. I hope he does.
Yeah, something needs to change in America for sure. And I do hope that he's the guy to do it. He's only got 4 years unless he can get every single state to agree, because what people don't understand, and the left in America actually have a point, and he plays with this point a few times where he says that his term will be unlimited. And people think that, well, your term can't be unlimited because it's only a 4-term thing. But how the forefathers and the Republic initially read it is that you have to have everyone agreeing. And if you have every single state agreeing and that, to extend his term, that actually can legally happen in America.
But don't you think that Joe Biden's term was an extension of Barack Obama's term?
How so?
Because I think Barack Obama was still behind. Look at him. He's still at the forth. Why every other president disappears after their terms? Why is Barack Obama still hanging around? We don't want to hear from you anymore. You did your thing, and you another false prophet. You led the people to believe that you were something you were not. The more I look into Barack Obama, the more disgusting I find out that he is.
Yeah.
And his wife as well. They're just disgusting people. And Hillary Clinton is the most evil. One of the most evil people walking the face of the earth. Do you know what I mean? She literally openly said about gaining control. She wanted us to get total control of us. We'll lose total control, she says.
Yeah.
You're not meant to say that. You're not meant to make us believe. Why do you feel so comfortable saying if we don't do this, we're going to lose total control? You shouldn't feel that comfortable saying that to the people. It's just something really smelly and sniffy about the Democratic Party. Sure. It was just, they're just full of red flags, man. Even their election run or their campaign was just not what we're going to do for you guys. It was bad Trump, denouncing anything to do with the Republican Party and Trump. It's and that's why they lost. It's the people wanted them to tell them what it's going to look like, what it's going to be. And she avoided all these questions. She avoided all these interviews. She avoided Joe Rogan. Trump, as an 80-year-old man, sat there with Joe Rogan for 3 hours. It didn't get up for a piss once, didn't have a drink. That's mental. Where is this guy getting this, number one, mental fortitude and capacity at 80 years old, and then just the physical ability to do all this? It's pretty insane. And then just their whole premise to go at Trump was all these just lies and gaslighting. He's coming after your reproductive freedoms. He couldn't if he wanted to. I looked into it. The whole Roe v. Wade thing, what was it? I forget what it's called.
It was overturned.
Yeah, it was overturned. But there was something else that came into play. I forget what it's called. So it's already with the states. And from a federal level, he wouldn't have the power to override that and bring it back to federal government.
Yes.
It's with the states. So this whole premise that they created that he's going to take our reproductive freedoms away from us because they know that it's this buzzword that people are just going to lose their minds over. Oh my God, he's trying to control our bodies. He couldn't if he wanted to. He couldn't if he wanted to. It doesn't sit with, it's not a federal thing anymore. It sits with the states.
He doesn't have the power to do that.
Doesn't have the power to do it.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I was like, dude, defend that. Say what I just said. And he never did, which put a bit of a question mark over it. I was like, why isn't he just defending this? He might have, and I just haven't seen it. But JD Vance said it on the Joe Rogan podcast, I think. But it's it was just, their whole thing was just based on, let's just make up lies about him and just hope that Americans are dumb enough to believe it. But they weren't, obviously.
Did you see Scott Morrison as his party?
No.
Yeah, he just had a recent party at Mar-a-Lago and Scott Morrison was randomly there. I think Scott Morrison might overtake Kevin Rudd as the foreign minister.
Yeah, Trump doesn't like Kevin Rudd.
Yeah, doesn't like him at all. What do you think about Australia? What do you think about the Labor and Liberal Party?
I think it's just like America. There needs to be the threat of a third party coming along and putting pressure on the other two parties that you better do something about. You better start to become for the people, or this third party is going to take over. So don't know who that third party will be. Some of like, no, man. You can say what you want about Pauline Hanson. She has the biggest balls in Parliament. I disagree with a lot of stuff that she says. I agree with a lot of stuff that she says too. She was like a front runner for freedom of speech, still is. I agree with that aspect of her. Sometimes she says stuff about immigrants that I wish she was a little bit more careful in her language. If she's adopting the same perspective as
Rationals. The rest of this episode can be found on diogocohea.com. Go below. The link is right there. We discuss migration, we discuss Australian politics, and a whole range of other topics. So if you want to see this gap right here, go to the link down in the description and go to the website. Otherwise, here is the final bit of the episode. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and I'll see you on the next one. He's a weapon of a boxer. What he did to Devin Haney was beautiful.
I didn't think he was going to win that.
He
seemed out of his mind at that time.
But he did that on purpose.
I thought it was all a promo thing.
Gaslit the shit out of us. He made us think that, this guy's losing. He's not going to win this fight. He was pretending to scull beers at the press conference and stuff like that. Like, it was actually extremely clever. It was like a real kind of 8 Mile moment. No, not 8 Mile. Rope-a-dope moment.
Rope-a-dope?
Yeah, Ali, what Ali did with George Foreman.
Oh, yeah, just on the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretending that he was losing the whole time.
Yeah.
And, it's like,
just saving energy.
Kind of felt like that, yeah. But I...
Even to the beer, he made the $2 million bet, and he actually apparently paid it, as far as I know.
Was it a real beer?
He knew that he was over the scale, and apparently he sent the money. Yeah. And it was like part of his marketing sort of budget thing. He knew he was over the scale. He went and drank it and still bet it, and I don't know. Apparently he paid, but you don't know with these boxing bets and all of these. You know what I mean?
He was no match for Tank though. I love Tank.
Yeah,
Tank's dope.
But then he got him to like get him so skinny. Like he got Ryan Garcia down into a ridiculous weight, and you saw the picture of like him versus Tank and him versus Haney. It's like night and day. It's like he was a stick.
From Floyd Mayweather, I think, Tank.
Yeah.
Gervonta Davis. So
I want to see his next fight. So the release date, when have we got it?
I'm looking. I would love to go late March, but there's like one song that I have to properly finish. And then there's one song that we have barely even started yet because it's with Complete and Draft, and we just haven't really got it. Complete's in America. Drafty is a busy man. So it's been hard to kind of, and like we've all got to agree on the beat. We've all got to agree on the concept. And I actually, both of them were like apologetic, saying, sorry if we're being picky. And I'm like, no, that means you care. Like if you were just like, whatever, just send me whatever and I'll put a verse to it and send it back to you. That means you don't really care. But both of them, they care about us making a cracking song together. So that actually means a lot to me. So I think we've finally, it's funny, I think we finally landed on something today. So I've got the hook and the beat for it. Now we just have to write our verses. So once that's done and I've just finished off this other song, it's good to go. Artwork I'm finishing tomorrow with Paulie P, and then it's just all press run. Like what am I doing with video clips and stuff like that? So hopefully end of March I'd be aiming for, but if not, it'll be April because I want to tour around end of April, start of May.
Well, March, come back on. We'd love to have you back on just before the release, or actually on the release date, and then we can listen to it now.
Play some songs and
And before you let them go, let them know where they can find you, my bro. It's been an awesome chat.
It'll be, I'm currently signed to Draft's label, Ghost Bat Records. And I think I'm still going to do physical copies. It's like I said, it's going to be my last album. So what I might do is like a pack where you can get like the album, maybe a vinyl and a piece of merch, and just like what Nipsey Hussle did, how he inflated the price and made it a limited edition, but like so a CD these days is, it used to be like $20-25. I might make it like more than that, like 50, maybe $100 and only print 50 of them. So there's like an extreme limited edition. I don't know if I'm famous enough to be doing stuff like that, but I like the idea of it and I want to make money for my family. But
it's also awesome.
And
Like,
it's awesome.
if you do a little pop-up thing and then have people there and then just have
Sign it all.
Yeah.
That's a good
People love
idea.
that stuff as well, like having a poster or something to put up in their room, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
all that sort of stuff, man.
So, and then obviously on all streaming platforms, all the usual places as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Bit of Belief's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Cheers. And Instagram, Bit of Belief.
Instagram, just Bit of Belief. Facebook is all just simple Bit of Belief. Nothing complicated. Yeah.
Awesome. God bless, my bro.
Legend,
Cheers.
brother. Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you.